Hey guys, welcome to the DLE YouTube channel, and I'm Kamell. Today I'm coming at you with a meta-analysis video for Gouki's, one of my new favorite decks. And here to talk about it today, I have King Feo. He's the author of the Gouki Guide on DLM. So, what's up, man? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks for the introduction, Kamel. My name is King Feo, and I'm a helper at the DLM Discord, and I'm the writer and main author of the Gouki Guide on the DLM website.
Right, yeah, you wrote it with two other people, right? Who are they?
Well, I would like to introduce Riku and Deligraphy. Riku is the person who helped me the most with this guide. He provided the videos and a lot of the matchups. Deligraphy helped behind the skills as well as some more matchups and sections. And they're both coming from TCG, so it was great to get their feedback for the guide.
All right, good to hear. So, Gokis are a deck that were introduced in the Flames of the Heart mini box. I started playing them. They were picked up by a couple tournament players here and there. They have achieved some results. So, quickly, what is kind of the win condition for Gokis? What do they hope to achieve in a deck, and how do the cards interact with each other? So I guess you could start about let's going through each one of the Gouki monsters themselves. So Gouki Suprex, and then we'll do the other two.
All right, so Gouki Suprex is basically the main monster for Gokis. It's a free summon onto the board as long as you normal summon it. So it has a great synergy with every single other Gouki card, and you want to start off every single combo with this card, ideally.
Right. Yeah, it's super powerful seeing it in your opening hand. You get another special summon, and it's a great way to trip around multiple monsters to get multiple searches the next turn. Next, we have Gouki Risk Scorpio.
So Gouki Rise Scorpio is a level 5 monster, and it can be normal summoned if you control only Gouki monsters or if you control no monsters at all. This is very powerful because his attack is 2300, so his vanilla attack is bigger than most monsters in the game, being a level 5, and he's very easy to summon. So this card you'll want to be using in your deck.
For sure. And lastly, for Gouki monsters, we have Gouki Twist Cobra.
Gouki Twist Cobra, the carry of the deck. The effect reads, you can tribute one Gouki monster on the field, then target one other Gouki monster you control, and it gains attack equal to the attack of the tributed monster. This is extremely strong to beat over other very high attack monsters and just deal damage. This is your main win condition, and you'll want to have Twist Cobra on the field out at all times, ideally.
Right, yeah. And just the amount of ways that having Twist Cobra lets you take alternate routes for lethal. You know, you get one regular attack, then a powered up attack every turn. Add that onto you having multiple Gouki monsters and pair with the Suprex, it makes for a powerful combo. So
Precisely.
so something to note about Gouki, right? Not a lot of the deck is comprised of different Gouki cards. Most of the rest of the deck is generic back row. Why is that?
Well, similar to Shiranui, Gouki is actually played as a control deck in Duel Links, which means you want to be dictating the pace of the game using your back row and controlling your opponent's plays while also controlling your plays. So this is done by using cards like Ballista Squad because every Gouki monster has an effect which reads, when this card leaves the field to the graveyard due to battle or card effect, you can search for another Gouki monster, which means you can generate resources but deplete your opponent's resources at the same time.
Right, yeah, and that is huge, right? You can see uh, enemy controller and Ballista Squad there tributing your Gouki monsters will proc their effect to search one, and you're doing whatever you're doing to your opponent with those cards, but then you're also getting back a resource so that you have something to make use of the Gouki monster you just got rid of. So something I was going to talk about was we do have a lot of back row here. So obviously there's going to be some text of stuff you can take in and out depending on your matchup in a tournament or going on the ladder. So there looks like there's a couple of unique tech cards in this deck list. So let's go through them really quick. Firstly, I see Herald of the Abyss.
Okay, great you pointed that out. So Herald of the Abyss is used for two reasons. Firstly, it's to get rid of very troublesome monsters. By
Hmm.
troublesome, I'm talking Shiranui Sensaga, Invoked Cocytus, Lunalite Saber Dancer. You know, monsters that are very difficult to deal with in general. You
Right.
want to use Herald of the Abyss to kind of free up your space and make breathing room for yourself.
Uh,
That's the first thing it does. The second thing it does is actually it makes you lose life points, so you trigger the skill Sealed Tombs, which is
mm,
very ideal in most matchups.
right. Yeah. Seal Tombs. If you're gonna run it consistently with your deck, you got to be able to always meet that life point requirement, being 1K under your opponent at least. Next, we have Necro Valley. Pretty good all around.
Necro Valley is mostly used because every other deck in the meta currently relies on the graveyard. Kristrans, we have Shiranui, E-Saber, they all rely on the graveyard. So if you're restricting that graveyard play, you are dictating the pace of the game, therefore you are winning.
Right.
So
So we talked Econ and Ballista Squad. Attribute your Gokis. Cosmic Cyclone is there for your Seal Tombs proc. Fiendish Chain, and Bad Aim. What's up with that?
Bad Aim is a
Hmm.
great card because you can use it two ways. You could either disrupt your opponent's plays, or you could even take yourself a step back and destroy one of your Gouki monsters to create a further follow-up play.
Right in your
So it
hand.
can be used either way. Exactly.
Okay, that's pretty nice. So that's going to be all for this deck list, but we have a couple others that we're going to go over. So let's be going over here. And our next one is going to be a really teched out build, something that's pretty unique. This Gouki deck is running Silent Swordsman and Psychic Wielder. Now, from my understanding, both of these engines are kind of they're viable to run on their own in a sense, but they're here together. So break this down for me real quick.
All right, so Silent Swordsman, Psychic Wielder, two different decks but played in the same deck. What do they achieve? They both achieve different things. So let's start with Silent Swordsman. Silent Swordsman requires a warrior monster tribute to be special summoned, which all the Gouki monsters are warrior types, so there's no problem in summoning the Silent Swordsman. And the effect reads, your opponent cannot activate a single spell card a turn, and if you manage to get out Silent Swordsman level 7, they cannot activate any spell cards at all. So this is incredibly strong to just lock your opponent out of using spell cards completely. And then the Psychic Wielder build. Psychic Wielder, you can special summon if you control a Twist Cobra and go into some Synchro Summon.
Right?
And
Yeah.
this is the Synchro version of the deck, and you'll want to be using that optimally and ideally to set your game.
Okay. So, and you can see I have some of the synchros there that you'd use. But one question that I have for this deck, right, or maybe pertains to Gokis as a whole. Which deck is more is which deck is more powerful, the pure or the synchro variant? And what do you lose when you play the pure version over the synchro variant?
That's a great question. So it's been over a month since Gokis have been released, so there have been many tests between the techs and different kinds of versions of the deck, and it's actually found that the pure version of the deck is the most consistent version due to the fact that running Psychic Wielder or Silent Swordsman
Mm-hmm.
might result in a bricky hand most times due to the fact that sometimes you're just not able to make any follow-up plays. You know, you might have a Suprex and a Psychic Wielder in hand. Those two don't interact well with each other.
Right.
It's just these failed interactions that could really mess up your game. So even though in theory they have really good outcomes, it just sometimes the luck is against you and you'll have some bricky hand.
I see. I see. That is a good case. With the synchro variant, you're able to make a lot more explosive plays and deal with a lot more situations, but you do lose that core consistency that Gokis benefit from seeing multiple monsters at once. So this is kind of similar to what I was playing. I was playing the synchro version for a very long time until I started to see the pure versions get tournament results.
Yeah, the pure version is definitely the way to go if you want to play Gokis because they're very easy to understand. And the synchro version does require a bit more in-depth knowledge to play, so it's still being optimized and fine-tuned.
Right.
And if any changes are made, I'll add it to the guide.
Of course, got definitely gonna be on the lookout for that. So we have one more deck list to discuss, and that is this one using the newly released, freed from the selection box, Masked Chameleon. Masked Chameleon is in the new box that I cannot think of the name of right now. But yeah, it's in the new box. It was previously in the selection box. So this is another synchro variant, playing a lot less of an engine, just the one Masked Chameleon for your tuner. So what difference does Masked Chameleon make in this deck?
Well, as you can see, the person playing this got top 100 in KC Global, so
This
it's
is
clearly
true.
working somehow. So let's break it down.
Hmm.
So Mass Chameleon's effect reads, once it's normal summoned, you can special summon a level 4 or lower monster from your graveyard, an earth monster to be specific. Now, all the Gokis are earth monsters, so once you normal summon the Mass Chameleon, you can special summon either a Suprex or a Twist Cobra from your graveyard and synchro summon into any level 7 or level 6 monster, level 7 or level 8 monster, which is very powerful.
All right, so yeah, we can see there in the extra deck we've got our different techs: Scrap Dragon, Stardust, Spark, Vermilion, Stardust as well. So a little bit of a different take on the synchro uh, archetype. You are just making different levels with a smaller synchro engine, more consistent, right? If you still want to play
Yes, it's
synchros.
very consistent due to the fact that they're playing only one version. As you can see, most Psychic Wielder versions play two Psychic Wielder, but he's mostly relying on the core engine. But just in case the Masked Chameleon does come up in hand, it could be a good top deck late game, and this can really just shift the battle.
Definitely, definitely. So before we start watching the replays, because that's a big part of the guide that you guys assembled, really quickly, what do you think are some of the strengths and weaknesses of Gouki?
Okay, so let's start with the strengths first. The Gokis have a replenishing resource, which means that when one gets destroyed, you can get back another monster, which means you do have follow-up plays available. So as long as you're managing your resource properly, then you'll be able to um, control the game and effectively have follow-up plays. However, with this comes the drawback of sometimes you cannot ideally set up your combo due to the fact that your monsters don't interact well with each other and your opponent can out-control you. And this is the biggest problem with Gokis. Even though it's a control deck, it can be out-controlled by other decks, which is something that you don't want to see. And that's probably the biggest downside to the deck.
Okay, so and I guess we'll see. We can talk about that more as we get into the replays, because I'm psyched to get into them. You guys put a lot of work into them for the guide. So our first replay that we're going to watch, and we can talk about some matchups as we watch them, is against Christrons. So we will watch
Okay.
this. I'll turn this down a little bit. There we go. Okay, so this looks like it is up against Heavy Starter Christrons. Now, how is the Gouki matchup against Crystron? They're tier 1 deck, so how do they do?
Well, actually, Gouki has a favored matchup against Christians due to the Necro Valley that we play. Necro Valley, in general, is just a huge detriment to Christians. They'll have to play from their hand, not to play around it. Now, for watching the replay, we can see he opens pretty ideally the most common Christian plays. He
Right.
gets the Christian Impact. He sets the Citri, so he's ready to Synchro Summon into that Amatrix and get ready for his play. Now here we have a Cosmic Cyclone to try and deal with the impact for later. However, he does miss and hit the other Cosmic, which is really bad. But regardless, he still attacks into that Citri to force out that play, which to force out that Synchro and go into the Amatrix.
And
Now
Amatrix
Amatrix,
doesn't. It won't really do much depending on your attack order, right? Because one of your Gokis is always going to be normal summoned.
Precisely, exactly. So Twist Cobra is most of the time going to be special summoned, and so it will be very like optimal because it can still tribute itself in defense mode. So you won't have to worry about that. Now, as you can see, the Christian player did Black Rose Dragon the entire field for the Gouki monster, but due to the effect of Gouki's, he replenished his entire hand, and now he has the main combo of Suprex and Twist Cobra all over again in his hand, ready to go for next play.
Right, we plussed off of that big black rose.
Exactly. So he set himself back, but we brought ourselves forward.
Okay, so while we have Crystron's up, so let's talk about some of the matchups that we don't have, that we're not going to watch replays for. Uh, Element Sabers being one that I want to talk about specifically. How did Gouki do against E-Sabers?
Okay, so Element Sabers are a pretty iffy matchup. So Element Sabers are another control deck, which means they play a lot of back row. So you want to be clearing that back row as well as playing Necro Valley on the field to prevent their Invoker summon. And Mole Hue is probably the biggest problem of the deck. However, you could run the combo of Suprex and Twist Cobra to counter Mole Hue. If you attack into a Mole Hue with Suprex and Twist Cobra on the field, if he flips one down, you can use the other one to attack using the tribute effect. So you'll always get over that Mole Hue as long as you have the combo on the board.
All right. Yeah, that's definitely an interaction that, is super important with this deck. Either of your monsters can be boosted by the Twist Cobra, giving you multiple threats at all times. So that was the replay against Crystron's. Next, we have one against Shiranui. Big deck in the meta right now. So yep. I'm going to play this one. You see it all right? Okay.
Yep. Okay, so most Shiranui decks are running level augmentation nowadays, which is what we see here. He's using Jack Atlas level augmentation.
Yeah, no,
and we are going to be going.
Is a deck that is similar to Gouki in the fact that it hides behind the big back row and a couple threats.
Precisely. As we can see, we already started off with the triple set back row, and we already got rid of the level 2. We flipped down the level 2, and we're disrupting the play of that level 2, which is most ideal. And we are again disrupting the plays of the synchro. We are making sure he does not go into the synchro as much as possible.
Seal Tombs drop down. But he is going
now
to
we sealed.
Oh.
Precisely. Even though he had Sphere Query, but we have still board presence, so we still have the advantage. Now here he does draw into the Gozoki and use the level augmentation to try and go into the Sun Saga. Right. However, we do have the Ballista Squad, which helps us. Plus, as usual, we search for that Twist Cobra, and now we are going to take effect of that Twist Cobra, and we're going to win the game.
All right. Super quick win against Shiranui. Shiranui are so dominant right now because of how well they utilize back row and very strong monsters. We just saw Gouki do the same thing and disrupt Shiranui's win con. So yeah, great stuff, great stuff. And we have one more replay, which is for Dark Magician, and I'm going to start playing that one right now.
Right, perfect. Let's walk you through it. So thanks again to Riku for providing these gameplays. He got it done within a day, so great shoutouts to him.
Yeah, of course, Riku is a DLE regular. Big shout out to him. Okay.
So the opponent's gonna start off with the most helmet version of Dark Magician we can. We're going into Rod, Circle, into set back row, which is most likely going to be the navigation. However, we do use the sealed, we do use the Cosmic Cyclone on the circle so that we do not get disrupted on our further plays.
Okay, nice Cosmic is going to prevent that navigation from negating further back row in the grave. I assume that's something you have to watch out against with Dark Magician as well.
Precisely. Because Gouki is a control deck, we will have many back row to deal with. So, as you can see, we're using our control deck style very well because we're using our Herald, we're using our Cosmic to trigger our sealed tombs while dealing with their board presence. So we took their navigation out, we took all of their monsters out, just so that we can take an advantage of it.
Now this guide is pretty comprehensive. I believe you also have a Blackwing replay, so I want to watch. Let's talk about the Blackwing matchup. How do Goki's fare going in?
Gokis are actually on the back foot against Blackwings due to the fact of Blackbird close. It is the biggest counter to Gokis due to the fact that Gokis rely on monster effects to generate plays, whether it's Suprex or Twist Cobra, so you'll be wanting to watch out for that.
Yes,
Now, as we can see, we started off a basic control build. We started with Twist Cobra and triple set back row. And he is going to start off with the Simoon, trying to generate the combo, trying to go into the synchro. However, we are going to Canadia and disrupt the synchro. This is the main thing you want to be doing against Blackwings, is disrupting their synchros. We're not swinging into that Simoon just so that he has less board presence and less availability to do that, to perform that synchro play. However, we are going to still be disrupting his play by intercepting his monsters. So we took control of his Gale just so that he cannot go into that synchro monster and generate further board advantage for ourselves.
Now, something I noticed here, Riku is using World Legacy Clash. This is a tech I was trying out. How do you think it stacks up against some of the other tech options that you talked about?
Well, World Legacy Clash is actually really good. It's on par with Econ due to the fact that you can protect your monsters as well as you can reduce the attack, which you really want to generate that OTK potential with Gokis because you can swing over the monsters. One thing I want to highlight here is he baited the Blackbird close out really well. He used the second Suprex in hands effect to use that Blackbird close, just so that Twist Cobra has his effect available the next turn. That's something I want to point out mainly in this replay.
I see, I see. Okay, so we will finish watching this one, but while this one wraps up, what are you thinking about Gouki in the meta right now? We obviously just had another box release, and it doesn't look like it was too overwhelming on the meta. Gokis are still topping in tournaments with an extremely positive conversion rate at the higher level of play. You know, just speaking on battle phase events and MCS's meta weeklies, Gouki is performing for the people that really know how to play the deck. So how do you feel about the deck right now?
I actually really love the deck because Gouki is what's considered as a rogue deck, which means it's not really meta, but it's really close to being meta. It's hovering around tier 3 because of the fact that it's a great surprise factor. Yeah, you don't know what you're going up against, and Gouki's really another strength they have is since they have multiple room for tech cards, they can counter pretty much every deck in the meta right now using the side decking system. They could just side deck and counter literally every single meta deck, which is why it fares really well in tournament.
Definitely, we have been seeing it absolutely crush. I know everyone loves to see Gokis when it is on stream, but just so really quickly before we end, this is the main deck list. Again, the pure build. Just looking at this, Gouki is not cheap, guys. Flames of the Heart box, you're definitely going to have to go in 3 times for those 3 Suprex. And then this is another deck that only gets better the more oppressive back row that you have, right? This is a control deck, so you're going to need to control back row to succeed. So, yeah, that's
Precisely.
Go ahead.
Another thing I'd like to mention is Zaga, one of the biggest players right now, one of the best players, has also picked up Gouki recently and has been doing well in battle phase tournaments, so I'd watch out for him as well.
Hey, that is great. I'm definitely going to be looking closer at Gouki, and I hope a lot of you are as well. So I want to thank King Feo. Thank you for coming on this interview, talking about the Gouki guide and Gokis with me. I have learned a lot today, and I hope I get to use it. And I hope all of you have learned a lot as well. So you can leave a comment on this video. Let us know what you think of Gokis and how it's going to perform in the meta. Thank you, King Feo, for showing up.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. And yeah, we will see you guys later. Peace out. And I'll link the Gouki guide in the description, so check that out too. All right, peace out, guys.